the entire art team this week has been busy delivering renders for the film. So we've mostly been preparing rendering snacks and Nightfall, but behind the scenes we're doing a lot of preparation work for the upcoming scenes. Yeah, that's going to be intro next week, but also doing some further prep work for the village, which is coming after that. And yeah, sorry, you're going to see a lot of set development, but also effects work for sorry about that, getting lost in my notes. So a lot of effects work for snacks, which you're going to see, and then lots of prop shading and rigging. So to show you a little bit what I've been doing is, hold on, wait, is this the most recent stuff? Wait a minute, yeah. Okay, let's start with this here. Okay, so I have just done a little bit of work that you know, was supplementing what Simon was doing with salt, with the melting effects. So we needed a kind of an effect that shows the salt being sprinkled on the sprites. I was using good old particles, so it took a while to get that to work. Maybe I should make this smaller. Anyway, so yeah, you can see lots of leftover particles until some point. You're kind of hitting the cap, but it's still not perfect because we really want to hit the sprite smack in the face. Now it's a little bit too ordered on the ground, and some particles are flying away, and then yeah, more work. Still too many on the cap. Here, I think it's almost okay. We have a good distribution on the ground, and there's just one flyover on the cap, but a little bit more work, and that's almost there until we have this, where we have this beautiful stream of salt hitting the sprite right in the face. And then it's just replaced the particles with actual salt grains that Simon shaded later this week, so you'll see that. Then there was this effect where the salt kind of spills over and Ellie knocks it down. This is with a little bit more randomness, so you get the initial swoosh and then the salt kind of drops. I'm still working on this. And then here, I finally got the collision with the ground working. So yeah, this is with the sprite as a reference as well. Then to the actual melting effect that Simon was doing, we decided to do the sizzling effect in the sprite's face when they're melting using smoke simulation. So Simon passed me an alembic cache of just the parts of the face that kind of get melted, that show this melting effect, and I then just did a smoke simulation on top of that. So using that as an emitter. So this kind of, bless you, looks a little bit too much like smoke. So making it a little bit more acidic, kind of greenish, and then turning it down so it doesn't grab your attention. It's just a really subtle effect that's in the background. And this kind of gets tweaked and put into all the shots. So you see just a little bit of a hint of it. An example of what happens if it's too strong is this here. So I have to tweak that. So it's a little bit too much here, but it's a fine line between making it like acid burn, but not like an actual fire burning in their faces. Yeah, this shot also just a little bit here and here, just a little bit. You can see it, just to supplement the effects work that Simon is doing. Anyway, then I did some shots on drown. Obviously, this is here in the cafeteria. This is going to be super dark, but just believe me that yeah, this is the shots in drown when the sprites are killing Jay in a very unfortunate way. And yeah, I just have the final, the final render of the sequence. This contains work of everyone, so the shots are basically just there in multiple stages of completion, but you'll see also some set work that Julien was doing and some shading work that Simon was doing on top of the melting effects. So just to keep in mind that this is all still work in progress.
Yes, yes. I don't want to hurt you. Just keep your distance. All right then, insulting little creep bastard.
So you can see that there's about 3 shots missing, 3 shots missing that don't have any lighting yet. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. That was partially my week.
So in animation world, we were partially like working parallel with lighting as we do usually. So this was our buffer week, and what that means is that this was a week where some of the animators had some spare time to revisit shots where small adjustments were requested from the director. And so we were able to pick that up this week. So let me show you what I've done. Which is this version right here. It's a simplified version, but you can already see what's going on. So all of these guys, I'm still working on this little fella right here. He's a little too quiet, but yeah, all these sprites need to come to life, and yeah, I think it's going to look great once we have this all assembled and see this shot coming together. So next time, I'll make sure we show the whole shot finished. So that's for next week. The next shot I've been working on is the U shot 10. And let me actually show a first pass of the blocking here. So what you see right there on the right is a blocking pass. And I had some small notes on this from the start, and one of them was basically when we come in here, not have the eyebrows being too reversed, but really go for the scary look. We had a little bit of a discussion about the readability of Jay holding his pants up while running. Yeah, so this is a pass I was showing yesterday. And yeah, the discussion was about, is this readable enough to sell it? And in the end, we went for a different version for this file. This will influence the next shot as well, but it's a fairly easy change for us to handle. And the latest version that I went for is basically holding his head instead of holding his pants. It's a way more clear silhouette, and I think it's working well. So that's the shot right now, right here. So that was my week. I'm looking forward to see the rest of the shots.
This is 4010. And basically, we're still in the process of checking consistency, not only with lighting, but with the props as well. There are a lot of props still missing. And this will probably be fixed next week. Here I have some renders. Let me see. This is 4100. This is more of a progress kind of thing. It's really dark here, or really light in the studio here, but basically we have the fire here where Phil is being blurred basically. So we'll see that in action next week. Let me see Nightfall set dressing. Here I went through every shot in Nightfall, almost every shot. This is still in progress, and check the props and consistency with the lighting and the fog. Change in lighting. Yeah. So, and last thing is the lighter fluid. I can show you guys this. It's basically a collage for the Klaus newsletter with some feedback from Vivian and Matthew. And this is the lighter fluid, the squirt and burn. Okay, yeah, I guess that's it for me.
So this week I was working on drone sequence with Jay. Let me show you the shots. For the first one, okay, I'm gonna show you the first version. This was very simple because it was like following the layout and more or less adding detail during the week and overlap in the fingers, also working the facial expression. That's the final shot. And for the other, I'm going to show you the first version where I did like a very linear animation for one pose to another. And during the week, I was working more in the also I did one version between the last one and this. Here, Jay like drops the last breath. But finally, we kill this action, and we went for this one. Like, it's more or less the same, but adding the P of the sprites and the drops, and also killing the last breath because it's already dead. So, and that's it. This is the result. So that was my work of this week.
So, start of the week, I hacked in a loud, annoying error message that will pop up in everyone's face when a certain bug happens, which we're trying to find out. So let me pause this right here. So if sometimes we're running into this issue that seems very elusive, and it's been happening since I think even Coffee Run, where library paths, for some reason, when an animator saves in a new file, sometimes library paths can become absolute, and we have no idea when it happens. So now when it happens, this pop-up is gonna show up and it will tell them, report this to Demeter. And this has been in all the rigs since Monday, and the only reports I've got so far were a false positive, which I fixed. So we'll see if this will end up helping us hunt down the issue, and maybe not, but it should. And then, yeah, hopefully we'll start seeing some pattern of when it happens, and then some developer can get in there and fix it for us. And then I got started on Phil's face. This picture doesn't show much. I'll show this in a bit. Okay, so this is the first things I did on Phil's face were the easy things. So it's the whole face control, then the ears and the eyebrows and the teeth. So this is all the like easy stuff because they're kind of disconnected from most things, or basically things that are far away from the eyes and far away from the mouth. They are easy stuff. I'll come back to that one later. I'll come back to this one later. And then here's Phil's mouth on like yesterday, I guess. So things started to function, but Jesus. But some constraints are not really functioning yet. But at this point, there's already weights. The weights are clean, but the constraints needed to be cleaned up. So I did that today. And now he can open his mouth and his lip controls are working, and the lattice is on there. But he still cannot smile and he still cannot blink. So that will be my job for the next week. But this is now much cleaner and functional. Woohoo. So that's nice. And then, so to bounce back a bit, okay, maybe I shouldn't be wasting time on this, but I think it's kind of fun. It's just how, like, because basically I generate rigs using Rigify, and I slapped some code in there because it seemed easy and fun, so I did it, where it updates the viewport every time it places a bone, or in this case, every 20 times. Yeah, I don't know, it's kind of fun. You can see the generation happening in real time, except it makes the generation incredibly slow, but yeah. And then in terms of actual useful features, I implemented IK fingers in CloudRig, which hasn't been a thing until now because nobody asked for it. But now for the shot where Ellie is writing something, the guys asked for it, and I happily did it because I've wanted to do it for a long time. There's just never a legitimate reason to do it. But yeah, now we have IK fingers, so I can just tick a couple of checkboxes and we have an IK finger set. And of course, this is initial, so might be changed still. Might get some feedback, but yeah, I'm happy. I hope the animators are as well. And is there anything else? Wait, I want to do the end of this because everyone loves this thing. Yeah, see, you're loving it. And then crappy tent rig. This is just a thing that I did in 5 minutes. Ignore it. I don't know. This will be iterated on. I just wanted to do some initial rig for the tent to figure out how it's going to collapse. I think the current plan is we will have a few more versions of the tent that we swap between and stuff like that. So basically what you see here is going to be not used. So don't worry about it. And I think that is it for me.
So this week I finished my shots on Nightfall. This one I already showed you last week, but I had some polish notes on the finger that pushed the flashlight, because on the left side, I did like this, that he up finger to read to have a good silhouette, but it gives a kind of funny feeling, and we don't want that. So I go with the finger, it's all time place in the button, and we really see the push, and I think it's working a lot better. Then I jump on this shot, which was very straightforward because we only one Ellie turning around with the flashlight. And the notes I got from here was, for example, to well, the mouth, polish more the mouth. If you say guys, well, closing more the mouth and then release to leave the tension. Oh yeah, this was really the last one. And yeah, well, pretty straightforward shot. And then I jump on this crazy shot on Village. Yeah, I'm gonna show the first pass. The first pass is not on Kitsu because I had some internet problems this week. So this was my first idea of the dance, and it works pretty well. So I'm happy with that. So then what I did is just to add the other sprites, blocking the other sprites. You know, this one are walking, but they're not walking. But this one with the snail, the other one in the back, and the last one from today is this one. That it's almost done. Oops. The dance is already done. This guy too, the snail maybe need a little fix, but yeah. So that's my week.
This week I did some more work on the mushroom growth set, and there was a bit of some stuff to be figured out, because at this point we were using the mushroom growth set in quite a lot of sequences. And the snack sequence is kind of extreme because it utilizes a lot of extra extensions we had to stitch to the original mushroom grove. So the idea is that this is like a top view of all of the parts of the mushroom grove set, and this is now how I organized it. So essentially we got the original mushroom growth here in the center and then some background trees that I scattered around to fill in some of the spots that are further away. Then we got the bird spotting area over here where Ellie and the others enter the mushroom grove from, and then also background trees for that. There's the part where Ellie is running back into the mushroom grove, background assets for that, and then the lock bridge connection, which then gets even extended further with the south side and of the lock bridge and all that stuff. So, but we don't always want to see all of this. So there's like some alternative collections which we can show to replace some of the like big set pieces that are not even shown. So, and then there's like little extra collections for specific shots. So I can close this. To make this possible, I actually finally started to make an environment asset libraries for the trees. So these are just like background trees that are a bit more lower res that I can scatter in the background. They're not as much subdivided. They don't have any particles for moss, and the canopies over here are going to be replaced with leaves with geometry nodes, but not as dense as any of the other trees. So it's not as memory intensive. And then I just got basically little play blasts of all of the shots to just compare the set and see how much it actually works. Some of the stuff still needs to be figured out. Like there's a lot of bushes here, but I need to actually render this to see exactly how it's looking and if this is enough. So, but for the most part, it looks fine. It's some resync issues, but I can just like flip through this. But essentially, this is the difficult one where we got like the log bridge, we got the running set, we got all of this stuff, which is super far away and everything is close and it's just insane. Even like in here, you can see into the background and they're supposed to be the bird spotting set and it's just insane. So, interesting. Okay, and then the last thing I did is just to start scattering around the actual trash. So it was the trash library already, and it just needed to be scattered around. So there's going to be 3 versions probably for the growth, the snacks, and when Ellie wakes up. And apart from that, I adjusted some of these trees for the animation of Jay so that they're a bit more thin. They don't cover that much of the screen. And that's basically my week.
All right, so for this week, I finished up my last 3 shots of Drown. I can't hear my kids in the background. But yeah, finished up my last 3 shots of Drown. And here's my first shot. Did a little polishing and address notes and fix some penetrations. And here it goes. It's fun to see the shots come together. Like the first pass is super rough, so I only had like 3 poses in there. And one on the left, my super rough blocking, the one on the right is the final version, where I cleaned up the penetrations and fixed arcs and added the P. Second one, Drown with Jay. He's discovering finally seeing the P coming in there, and that's the rough blocking on the left, and the one on the right is polished. This is my last shot of Drown, shot 40, where Jay's like shocked and seeing all the P in there. Really polished off, and yeah, that's what I did for this week.
This week I've been animating. Well, I'm an animator, so that's what I do. But I've been animating 2 shots from 2 different sequences. First, I rescued this snack shot, which was from Gerard, because he ended his shots like early and had this one, but this was staying hold. It was like this. So I continued it. That's the second version. And I changed a bit like the head expression, but it wasn't quite working. So I made another version coming back to this, moving less the body and stuff, but it was a bit too squishy, like the face. I got that note, and we stayed with the last one. It's this one. It reads better. This one's great. And the nachos have salt. And then this was the last shot from Nightfall that I was meant to do it earlier, but the drawing wasn't finished, but now we have it. And I have various versions. The idea was not to draw from zero, but to like feel like she's redrawing a line, this line here, but I didn't quite get what to do, so I have this version, then change. I will make this, but this was too smooth. I was working on it. And then I got this last one. It's more like phew. And yeah, and Nightfall is done with this. And then I had to change this one because the pencil here is stopping. So I had to make a little fix that at the beginning it was like stopped. And that was my week.
This week I finished this shot, but not anymore because there is a retake. So but yeah, last week I was busy with it. I spent like a couple of days on, and then yeah, this I had like a small block in that it was like doing, yeah, I tried different ideas. We end up doing this, and later I just polish it, and then this is the last version. We'll have to the retake of instead of grabbing the pants, you will be grabbing the hat, but yeah, that's something that for the next week. And I started to do this shot. This shot, I started to do it on pre-production. I did some works on it, and I kind of spent like half a day or more trying to take what I did on that pre-production and try to bring it back. It worked kind of, so I just spent more time basically fixing these guys here. Even it was like a bit of change in the scene, so they are not now hovering or up the tree trunk, but that's something I have to adjust. But yeah, I give them all the props and everything, so they are kind of there already. I still have to spend time on them, but mainly I spend time on Ellie, trying to save as much as possible I could do from the other animation I had, and trying to push it further. And for the moment, this is the last I got. So I end up doing this for this week. So yeah. That's it.
Yes.
Alrighty, so this week I was working on a contact sheet tool. I was showing you guys last week when I placed the things manually. I wanted to automate this. Turns out it was quite more difficult than I thought. But so I was trying to come up with to programmatically sort of create this contact sheet, right? And these dark spots here are basically the content. And it should place this all nicely in a grid. And you can also like scale the content. It keeps the aspect ratio. You can also say, I want the context sheet based on this many elements. And like when the last two ones are elements that are missing, so they're like default cells. You can also scale these ones. You can go with a lot of cells, even more. And it works quite nice. And you can also say, I want to align all the cells to the bottom or to the top or to the center. And yeah, and then I was, so there should be a video actually. And basically then I ported the system over to the sequence editor. So you can select a couple of sequence strips and say, make me a contact sheet. And it would make you a contact sheet and sort of place these things all over each of another. And you can even play it back, but it's super slow. So we probably have to find some solution for that.
right now I'm changing the resolution up there. You probably don't see it here in the canteen, and you can press update and it sort of updates all the grids and the layouts, and it works quite nice. But yeah, there on the Blender side, there needs to be done a little bit of more work to make this more convenient. But it was quite a cool exercise this week. And then I also set up some additional
Paul, this is awesome. Do you know how many times I had to manually do this?
Oh, really? Okay, that's great.
For the course of my Blender experience, but thank you.
Oh, nice. It was more thought for Andy, but you can use it too. Yeah, and then set up some shots of the intro animation file, some more village shots, and worked more on the render review tools, some bug fixes, improvements, and stuff like that. Yeah, that was my week.
So you've already seen it from Andy, even in a rendered version, but I, this week, or beginning of the week, went through all of the shots that have melting effects and snacks, at least the ones that were animated at this stage, and applied the effects. So you can see it here, just cut them all together. Yep, all the effects. And I think there's like 2 missing, because they weren't animated when I did this, but I'll just catch up on those when they're finally animated. And also had some back and forth with Andy just about the smoke that we're doing differently now. But yeah, here's just a rendered version of a single frame. A couple of them just this. Some nice mutilations with the snacks. Oh yeah, and then wait, there's one more. Yeah, just a rendered version where you can see the effects with the melting Sprite here. You're ramping it up with the level of extremeness throughout the different sequences. And then I did a bunch of prop shading. So that was one small thing where the flashlight, the light cone was looking kind of strange because it's not really looking as it should be. So I just made a change to actually have the effect scientifically accurate, almost, kind of, at least enough. Also follow the link. Yeah. And then I did a whole bunch of prop shading. So we had all these things that were just white, as you saw in the renders, but no more. We have props, we have salt sticks, we have salty twists. This. We have princess peanuts, beautiful peanuts. We have corn darts with salt. Yeah, ready to mutilate sprites. We have salty meat sticks. Maybe not the most appetizing food, but it's a damn good weapon. Royal salt. Yeah, for this one. Oh yeah, they support quite a high resolution. Yeah, and then for that one, I also have a turntale because I wanted to render something overnight, and that's my week.